All right. It's been a while. Sorry about that. So, welcome back. Today is January 24th, 2021. The time is 11:15 p.m. and I am your host, Shamari or Murray, and I am a representative of the company of Enigma Force. So, we're going to talk about something that I don't see a lot of people mentioning, but it's one of the biggest drivers in why we have some of the issues we have when it comes to relationships. And I mean any relationship, not just romantic, but platonic too. Or just even the dynamics between parent and child. And that's triggers. Triggers. We're talking about that thing that just sets you off and gets you going in a negative way. And it could be something that can be just a word, it can be a look. It's just something that happens from another person that makes your mind kind of go back into a post traumatic stress type situation. And you react out of it because it's the mind trying to cope and self preserve. And if you've been on this earth, excuse me, if you've been on this earth long enough, you've probably had something happen to you that falls in that category that makes you feel some kind of way. Myself included, man, I got so many stories. And I'll probably share one in just a moment. But the point of this today is just that it's coming to grips that everybody has something going on with them. And I think that even if you've mastered yourself in some regard, meaning self control for the most part, it's easy to slip because it's just the unfortunate element of just being human. But I think if we learn to, on purpose, be transparent with people and let people know what's going on with us and why, we can start to forge bridges that can allow us to get past some of these situations faster, and maybe some of this stuff won't even come up. I think that most people for them have the intention of trying to do more good than harm, but a lot of times we may say or do something out of ignorance. And because of that, we can unfortunately maybe start fires just because of that. So I think it's important to look at someone's heart first too, you know, trying to understand someone's intention. And the main thing is being willing to be open. So that comes back to effective communication. So it's like, how can we really expect someone to understand us if we're not willing to let them know why we think and do what we do? I've heard people say crazy stuff like, oh, you should just know. No, they shouldn't just know. We barely understand ourselves. We barely know why we are doing some of the stuff we're doing, but we expect another person outside of ourselves to just know how we are? That's crazy. That's insane. And that's actually unfair expectation for somebody. But what we can do is let that person know completely, open and honestly, the things that we've been through. And it's not about agreement, but it's just about understanding. And hopefully, by you letting that person know what's happened to you, that maybe they'll be willing to meet you halfway. Because no one's supposed to take responsibility for your feelings. Not fully. They should take responsibility and try not to start stuff with you, of course. But ultimately, it's up to you to control yourself. And to be able to understand yourself enough to know what you can and cannot handle. So if you have a particular person that just, for whatever reason, y'all not meshing or y'all keep getting into it and all this craziness, and y'all not able to just have a meeting of the minds and get some things in order where y'all can stop being in conflict, then, hey, maybe that's somebody you don't need to be dealing with. So unfortunately, sometimes there's people that in our lives, whether they're related or not, where they might actually be good people, but y'all just don't get along. Y'all don't mesh. And sometimes it's like that. And we make the the excuse because they're good people that why y'all should be in each other's lives, and sometimes that's not the case. I've come to understand that the concept of good and bad is generally irrelevant. It's really about character, somebody's position of who they are at a particular state of time. That is what you are going to be up against, because that's what they're up against with you. And we all got it. We all have some things with us. So I say that also that we want to be lenient, because it's easy from the outside looking in of looking at somebody else's mess and forget about our own. So as much as we have to be patient with other people, remember that somebody's being patient with us, and they may not have told us what they're being patient about. But no, there's somebody being patient with you about something about you. And I think that's where the humility comes in. Remember, we all got to try to get along and do our part. So I remember, and I'll put myself out here, and that's, of course, me trying to help promote people to be transparent, because I think that's the only way we're going to bridge gaps. So let me be transparent about me. So one of my triggers is this, and it drives me crazy because this is the society we live in now. Texting. God is my witness. I hate texting with everything in my bones, because it is a fact that it is the lowest form of communication. The spoken word will never be replaced by the written word. And the problem with texting is that you never see it as it is. You see it as you are. Because you can't sense tonality. You can't hear what they said. You can't hear the inflections of the voice. You can't sense intention. You can't pick up body language. All of that is gone. By the way, in case you didn't know this, and you can look this up, all these different parts that I mentioned that goes into the communication process, the biggest portion of it is listening. 80% of that is listening. And we've gotten in a society where we're not listening at all, because we are trading principle over convenience. I don't feel like calling and talking on the phone or FaceTiming, whatever, because it's not convenient. Because I've become so lazy where I don't feel like putting in the work to try to understand somebody and possibly keep conflict down, because I just don't feel like it. This is the craziness that's going on. And we're wondering why we're having all these problems with any form of relationships. Ain't nobody talking to each other. It's in our physiology. We have a mouth and ears for a reason. There's no freaking keyboards on us. Okay? You can't get the typing and none of that kind of crap in us. It's not in us. We are beings that are made to connect through listening and speaking. It's principle. We are not going to get away from that. And if we keep trying to do that, we are going to continue to fail in trying to have meaningful connections with the people that we claim, by the way, that mean most to us. I was like, well, I'm seeing the hypocrisy in that, because if that's true, then we should be willing to do whatever it takes to maintain peace, harmony, order, and the idea of love being shared between each other. That's my trigger. So I make it very clear that, don't get me wrong, I'm willing to text here and there, whatever. I get it with certain things going on. But as my general form of talking to someone, and in this case, let's just say from a dating aspect with a woman, I will not talk to any woman who only wants to text. It's not going down. I'm all set, bro. She will get cast out where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. Straight up, though. And I mean that seriously, though, because as a man, if I want to understand a woman, I'm going to put in the work to understand that woman. So I'm going to talk to her, I'm going to listen to her, and I expect her mandatory to do the same thing for me and put in the effort consistently to do so. If she does not, it lets me know that she is not serious and she does not have what it takes to do this right, so we can try to even see if we can go the distance. But at least I make that clear up front. I let it be known. I watch and see what they do. And if I see they're not going their route, I put it out there. And I let her make her choice. I'm not trying to twist anybody's arm. I'm not trying to make nobody do jack, because I don't want nobody to do nothing for me they really don't want to do. But I do make sure when it's time for me to make my decision for me, because I don't have to take that, nor do I have to be with someone like that. I give her the courtesy where she cannot say she did not know why I stop talking to her or why I don't want to be bothered with her. And that's what I feel like that's my civil act. I tell the people how I feel, not for them, it's for me. It's to get off my chest. So I know I did what was right. They get the courtesy of knowing. That's why we should always be upfront with everybody. It's the courtesy of letting them know so they can at least possibly make an adjustment for you. But also, you know you told them. So when you, as you maintain your position in life, and you have to make a choice, if you got to step away from this person, whatever the case is, you know you did everything you were supposed to do to try to build the bridge from your side. And for whatever reason, they just couldn't build it from their side. So that means that ain't the road you're supposed to take. And it's really that simple. So I encourage you, understand yourself, know thyself, love thyself, better thyself. And I got other videos coming very soon that's going to address how to do that if you don't know how to begin the journey to know thyself. That's going to be the next one, and it's going to build off of that for the next two after that. So it'll be 3 videos total. It is the journey to self-mastery. And I'm going to show you how to do this so you can be your best self. And you'll make somebody's job easier when they try to get to know you. And that's the whole point. We want to make it easy for somebody to get to know us. We want to make it so easy, it's not even funny. They're going to think it's a sham or it's fake. But we know it's not, because we're here to do the one thing that we should be doing when we want to connect with somebody. Make it easy. And I leave you with this. Let's make it easy for somebody to love us. All right, this is part 2, more of an addendum to the podcast about triggers. I started thinking last night after I recorded the first session, like, you know what? I have an even better moment of a trigger that I recently experienced. So I'm going to talk about that. And this also involves a situation between me and my daughter, or my daughter and I. You know, got to be right about it. So in any case, and I'll give you a little bit more background about me. Like, I grew up from a very poverty-stricken background. And one of those things is I know what it's like to grow up without food. I know what it's like to be in the house with no running water, no electricity, no heat, in the dead wintertime. And back in the day, we got snowstorms for real. Our winters are always bad, basically. Nothing like what we experience now here in Michigan or in Detroit. So I brought my daughter some food one day. And if you saw my Facebook post about the Asian corned beef egg rolls, because they slap, but you got to go to the hood where they do the most good to get them. But that's another story. I brought those for her, but I brought some different variations than what she normally eats. And I thought it was the kind that she liked to eat. So she didn't want to eat them. After she tried them, of course, but she didn't like them. So I initially got upset because it was food I couldn't eat that time because of dietary restrictions. So that means that the food would be wasted. So if you come from my background, I'm the kind of person where I don't want to waste jack. Because that still sticks with me even as a grown man, of not having food to eat and understanding the preciousness of resources. So I value anything I got, whether it be my money, food, whatever. I don't waste nothing. So initially I got upset coming from that place. So her not wanting to eat it, that was a trigger to me for those reasons. But on the surface, when I talked to her about it, I more so explained just kind of the surface level of not wasting food, things of that nature. But as I thought about it, I realized that the way I was handling that was wrong. That my daughter doesn't have the kind of heart of being wasteful. Neither do I. So sometimes food is going to get wasted. And it's about the heart set. And I have to learn to be okay with that. Which has made it more interesting because a few days later, I was eating some food that I warmed up, and I got full very quickly. and that food couldn't be reheated again. So I had to throw the food out. It wasn't a lot, but still just the fact that I threw some out. And that was a great lesson in myself to be reinforced that I'm not a wasteful person. Sometimes it's going to happen and it's okay. And that's just part of life. And it's about the heart set that I'm not going to intentionally waste food. Because I've met some people that take a bite of a chicken sandwich and throw the whole thing out because they're not hungry, like craziness like that. That stuff had me looking at you like Ike Turner. You know, the memes where he be staring at you and it's not a game. For real, you know. But I'm also bringing this up so you know why I was feeling a certain kind of way. And when I talked to her about it, I apologized to her because it was coming from that place. And I wasn't thinking about the kind of girl that I raised her to be. That didn't even enter in that moment when I was feeling that emotion from that trigger of that experience that I had growing up as a boy. So I got her here, and I'm going to ask her a question. And I want you to see the other side of that because anybody we have interactions with, this is the kind of stuff that we can easily bump heads about because we all have some things or that thing that will take us into that dark place if we don't be careful and we react out of it instead of responding. And also giving somebody clarity about what we've been through so we can start trying to, either try to heal those places or try to step around those landmines. Because I think there's some things you may not necessarily get over. You just learn how to cope with it or coexist with it. I liken those things what I call scars. It's just like, if you got a deep gash, that skin tissue can heal, but it may not have the same smooth and texture as the rest of the skin of your body that hasn't been through something traumatic. So it's still whole, it doesn't hurt anymore, but it's different. It's a soft spot. And when you see that, you will instantly remember what happened no matter how long ago it was. Some experiences, it's the same thing in our minds. It leaves scars on our minds and in our hearts and souls. But we still have to be careful to make sure that we don't use that as an excuse to, go postal on somebody either. So, I'm going to introduce to you today, for the first time, ooh, yeah, Michaela, the Full Metal Alchemist, yeah. She's going to join us today. It's going to be beautiful. Because I believe the children are the future. Take their hand and let them lead the way. Thank you. The greatest love of all is found in her. Come on, Michaela, say it loud. Come on, say hi.
Okay, hi. I'm Michaela Giles. You can call me Full Metal, of course. My dad just said. You ready with the questions then?
All right. So, when I first came in after you ate your food, you called me and you told me that you were, you didn't like it and you didn't want to eat it for your reasons. And when I told you and I gave you my reaction to that, what was some of the thoughts that were going through your mind with my reaction to hearing you not wanting to eat the food that I purchased for you? What were you thinking? And be honest.
I was kind of irritated because I'm like, I really can't eat this. I tried it already. I just can't eat it. I don't like it. And I tried to eat it again before you weren't here and I almost threw up. So I'm like, I really can't eat this. I already tried to. I can't do anything with this,
Mm-hmm.
So that's just how I felt for that time being.
Okay. All right. So in that moment,
Mm-hmm.
in your irritants and while you're thinking about that, did it cross your mind why I probably was saying that, like with my background? Because I've talked to you about that before, but just in that moment, did that even cross your mind?
No, not in that moment.
Okay. All right. And when I came back and I talked to you about it, and then I apologized for that, and then I reiterated that background and what happened to me, but also acknowledging my folly with you in that situation. What was your thoughts about the whole situation after I brought back, my childhood and telling you what happened to me and where this was coming from?
See, I was only a little bit irritated. It really didn't bother me that much. So I'm like, before you even came, I wasn't even thinking about it anymore. It was like over and done with. And then once you like reiterated that, for sure, I was like, it's fine. It's not even a big deal. It was just some egg rolls, It wasn't, it's small,
Right, I got that, but you didn't answer my question.
Mm-hmm.
My question specifically is, After I still talked to you about it, and I apologized, and then I reiterated my background of why I was thinking like that in the first place and where my reaction came from. So when I gave you that information again, what was your thoughts at that moment when I was talking to you about it? That is my question.
Oh, okay, I got you. So I was really thinking like I felt bad for you and what had happened, and like it right, like it made even more sense, and it was clear now why you did what you did. So, cuz it before it didn't cross my mind, so I'm like I don't understand what's going on. So, it was just more clarification going towards what happened.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what was going on in my mind.
Mm-hmm. So after receiving that information and going forward, do you think that it made it easier now in, if similar situation were to arise? Do you think that would make it easier for you to deal with me when it comes to that kind of stuff, knowing how bad that still kind of affects me in certain areas as I still work to get beyond that?
Yes, I think it would make it easier for certain things, and if but like yeah, if certain things you do, it really wouldn't, affect me. Now I know what happened, which I already been knew, but it still didn't cross my mind. Far as what happened to you, so it would definitely make it easier.
Mm-hmm. So, and my last question would be then, based off of that, you saying that, do you think that, how do you think future reference if you got into, if another situation arose where you know you couldn't eat it, doesn't taste good, or you're full, or whatever the case is, and you have to tell me that, what do you think your approach would be to me, given now that got another reiteration of what I've been through, how I feel and think, how do you think you would handle the situation going forward? Is there something different you think you would do approaching me about it compared to what happened last time?
Um, I mean, I really wouldn't know what else to say other than like I really can't eat this. So what do you want me to do about it? Because far as the options, like I could give it to my mom and different aspects like that, I wouldn't know what else to do. Well, but now we don't. Well, I don't know what would be happening in that point, but still, I would still try to find some choices if I could do something with the food other than just throwing it away
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like I did before. So I think I would still do the same thing.
Okay, got you. All right, well, that sounds good. That's actually all I wanted to know, and I thank you for being present with us today and giving your perspective about it, because the whole point of this is that we all have to work with each other, and everybody's thoughts and feelings in the situation needs to be heard to be able to come to the correct conclusion on how to go forward in the most peaceful situation between each other, depending on what the scenario is. Doesn't matter if you're a child or adult, every person has value and they need to be heard and they must be respected as such. So I wanted your perspective in that so we can see that you are respected regardless of you being 13, and you need to carry that going forward just like me and anybody else. All right, so that was Michaela. Yeah. Give him glory. All right, so thank you for listening. And I hope that this specific scenario, something very detrimental and near and dear to my heart, will help you assess some of those things inside you that might be near and dear in your heart, and just bridging that gap to find a way to talk about these things and help somebody understand you, help somebody learn you, and as I said in the last one, help make it easy for somebody to love you. So thank you again. Grace and peace. You want to say goodbye? You got some word of wisdom for us? Something you want us to take away? What you got?
Bye everyone, and it was nice meeting you all.
And there it is. Goodbye for now. Grace and peace.